forward. You cannot look back. Everything you see is an illusion. Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Help when you can. Give when you can. Smile when you can. Cry when you can. Darkness is temporary. A bad mood can't win the light.
Pisa nawe wazangie lela nawe wazana mawai kasiko pesa mokongote munana ye
Good evening, friends. So excited to be having you this evening. It's a quite exciting evening, and we really are grateful to God for giving us this day today. But hey, I'm quite excited this evening because we are joined by someone. I think, you know, for me, it's quite exciting to be having this young man. I call him a young man because I think he's far younger than me, but hey, and I think he's such an inspiration to a lot of young people, and truly I'm humbled today to be joined by Vusisizwe Mahlangu. I'm truly humbled. Yeah, I think he's becoming a celebrity these days. But hey, Vusi, Sizwe Mahlangu, thank you so much for joining me this evening. I'm quite excited to be having you. And can you just read and, share a little bit who Vusisizwe Mahlangu is?
Hello, Mamruti. Yo, thank you so much for the wonderful, warm welcome. Let me confirm first. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
All right. I know with these live broadcast things, anything can go wrong. So yeah, thank you so much for the wonderful welcome. Really humbled. I think it's nice to hear people saying nice things about you while we can still hear them. So yeah, thank you. Really appreciate that. Yeah, my name is Vusisizwe, and I saw in your advertising that I was called AKA the future president. Yeah. Anyway, somebody wrote that. But yeah, I'm just a child of God. person who really loves to be inspirational, person who really loves to live on purpose and make a difference in people's lives. I think I've made it my mantra in life to live life on purpose and make sure that the people that I come across in life, I leave them in a better off position. I think what grieves me quite a lot is if I come into contact with someone or an organization or anything and nothing different changes about them. I think more than anything, that is all found in my name that was given to me by my parents, Vusi Sizwe. So that's what I do. I'm in the business of raising nations, not physically. I wouldn't manage, but intellectually, emotionally, spiritually. That's what I'm all about. Yeah, in short.
Yeah, that is quite exciting, and I think that's why you inspire me as a young person, because nowadays you don't really find a lot of young people that are living for a purpose. And for me, I remember when we were driving to Lesotho, I think that's when I came to know you. Yes, and we had a long journey to Lesotho, going to preach in Lesotho, and the conversations that we were having, and I became inspired by this young man. At that time, I don't even think your dad had a church at that time. You guys were still in Tembisa AG, and really, but when I see what God is actually doing in your life, it actually reminds me of those days when you were a young person, full of life and always wanting to do good. And I remember when we were going to Lesotho, there were quite interesting things that we started speaking about, which some of them will unfold later in the show. Okay. So yeah, so and really for me, looking at today as we're speaking about a boundary breaking attitude, I personally have found you to be that person that pushes beyond boundaries. And maybe in your own words, how would you describe what boundary breaking attitude is all about?
Sure. I think you summed it up quite well. For me, I believe in breaking boundaries. I believe in, that for you to be able to break boundaries, you need a lot of resilience. There's a lot of things that one has experienced personally, or maybe in relation to organizations or programs, or even within our church, that one had to really be resilient and press on and not give up, because you believe in the bigger picture. You believe that there is a purpose. I think for me, finding my purpose has been such a great driver in helping me to be able to say that I'm gonna push through until I get to what needs to be achieved. So resilience and knowing your purpose. I think if you know your purpose, I think you are 50% of the way. But comes resilience, hard work, passion, great passion. Having purpose derives, it brings about a lot of passion. So I'm one person who doesn't put my my head down and say that's it. If there is a boundary, I believe that there's probably a better way of doing what has already been set. Respectfully so, obviously. So boundaries are not a thing to me. Boundaries are really not a thing to me. I think it's inborn as well. It's in that name. Hey, yeah, my parents. Yeah, that name, Vusi Sizwe.
Yeah, you have to awaken the world. That's quite interesting. And I just want to welcome all our viewers. Welcome. Thank you for watching with us. Please engage with us if there are any questions that you want to ask. Please do so. Engage with us. We're looking forward to engaging with you. This is a conversation, and we truly looking forward to engaging with all of you. So, Sizwe,
ma'am.
I see that, obviously I understand the fact that, every weekend, every week you travel to KwaZulu-Natal, you come back to Joburg. It should be really, really tiring, but, obviously you do that with resilience. And in that, fact, looking at that, you have now taken a role of being an assistant pastor to your dad, and I've actually seen the amount of work that you give in the work of God, and truly, what inspires you, what pushes you to these limits? Because for me, looking at you as a young man that loves the Lord, that is always pushing hard, to do the best in life and pushing your purpose, what inspires you?
So I think more than anything, one time I had an aha moment, in a sense of, my peers, some of them, have their own ministries and stuff like that. And I was like, hey, but God, what about me? And, I could literally hear audibly so that I need to give the best of me now. And then when the time for me arrives to be all on my own, I know that I would have, so basically it was like, don't hold anything back. You have to give every blood, sweat, and whatever now under the leadership of your father. And that is literally what I'm doing. And it's a great pleasure to serve with my father. I see some of you guys, senior pastors, the gray hairs you have because of the stresses of, running a ministry. So I still have that covering. But then I do also have gray hair. But, it's because I'm pouring myself all out, So I'm not, so what I'm trying to say, I am not holding anything back. I'm giving the best that I have so that, one day when I'm at the front, I might produce the same caliber of people that are more than me, So I just look at it as like really sowing seeds, and in due time, I know that I would have, I'm gonna reap a good harvest.
Yeah. So, Sizwe, being a pastor's child, that is something that interests me, because last week when I was having a conversation with Lebo Lebelo, somebody posted a question to say some of the pastors' kids, they tend to think that they are pastors themselves, and what would you say to that? Because I found it to be very interesting now that, obviously your father is a pastor, and you also helping out in the work that your father does. How do you answer to that?
Well, I'll say we are. Look, I mean, there's two things. If you know a pastor's kid really well, you know that there's probably about 2 or 3 types. There's one who will say that I'm going to give it all in. I'm not running away. This is it. And you've got the other one that will just look the other way and say, okay, dude, I acknowledge what you're doing, but, you're on your own. So I guess I'm the one who said that I see what you're doing, but even me, myself as a person, look, my dad didn't look at me one day and said, okay, you're going to be a pastor. I had my own walk. I remember when I told my grandmother, she's late now, and my mother 2 different times that, listen, man, I really feel that I really have a calling. I know I want to go study, I think I want to be a pastor. Yo, my grandmother, she loves me. I'm the first grandchild. She's like, and my mother was like totally against it, because I think she of the stresses that she knows come with being a pastor. But I mean, over time, because it wasn't my thing, it was a God thing. We were right, So yes, some of us are pastors, and some of us are honest enough, and some of the other PKs are honest enough to say, that's not me, that's not me. So it's not you can't generalize like that. There's some who acknowledge it and run with it, and there's some who say, Geshap, I'll take the back seat, or I won't even participate.
But what are the greatest challenges that you have found yourself in, work-wise, being a pastor's kid, being an assistant pastor in your father's church? What are the greatest challenges that you feel that you have faced?
The greatest challenge to date, I'm going to be vulnerable. The greatest challenge to date is, and I remember saying this to Lebu at one point, saying that the greatest challenge of being a pastor's kid to being a pastor, like you're having your whole family being in the ministry, is that the stuff that you go through privately is public. You don't have a private life. It's everyone in the congregation or the church at large, they have the luxury of being able to go and lick their wounds in private. I'll be for 5 weeks or a month. Hey, no, it's allowed. No, I was just going through a situation. I feel and I've felt personally what we've gone through as a family at some point is that that's when I realized, hey, there's no privacy here. It's like it's like this is a show that everyone is watching, right?
Yeah.
Not just on. It's not a Sunday thing which you picture, but like you'd even be surprised that people know a lot about your life more than you do. So I think the most challenging thing, the most hardest thing is acknowledging and knowing that there is no privacy. You don't have that luxury because you're a public figure. My friend Sejama Namela always says to me that, dude, listen, embrace it. You're a public figure, whether you like it or not. Yeah, and that's quite difficult. I'm praying for your kids.
Hi, Mukadi. Thank you for joining us. Katso, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate. Please share your questions with us. We want to engage with you. Any question that you feel that you want to ask me, you want to ask Sizwe, we want to engage with you. So, Sizwe, now I see that you are on television. We see you every Friday, and you're becoming a celebrity. So I see you now actually taking care of the youth dialogue, and really I want to applaud you guys for the work that you're doing, and from here, seeing that you're now in the limelight, you're now on TV. Where do you see yourself from here?
Sure. I think one now has a platform. I'm naturally a shy person, so Dilota, the online and whatnot, I was just like pushed to the front. There was the vacancy. Okay, let's just go and do it. And I've just ran with it, and it's been quite fun to do it. But I think more than anything, a lot of responsibility comes with it, and there's a lot of expectation to say, okay, what do you do after this? And I think it's just a platform for me to be able to further engage space in a meaningful way by touching people's lives in a real positive way. So I want to see, how we can further, grow that thing to make it meaningful, have meaningful conversations, life-changing conversations with people. That's really what it's all about. It's not about me being at the front. More than anything, most of the time I always look for a host if there's but it's just worked out this way. But it's been a wonderful opportunity, and I'm grateful to God for it.
Yeah, I see.
I don't know if you mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, no, you go. I had a question for you, but anyway,
it's fine.
Anyway.
Can you hear me?
I saw Nkululeko had a post, pastors' kids are pastors.
Yes.
I can hear you.
Okay, so Nkululeko says pastors' kids are pastors because they've been doing this from birth. So I'm not sure about that. So you wanted to ask me a question. Go ahead.
It's an interesting question by Nkululeko. God bless you, Fundis. So talking about, pastor's kids, I made a comment that I said, I'm praying for your kids. You wrote, there we go, called to be a pastor's kid. And I wanna applaud you for that. I know it was a long and difficult journey for you, but you've been quite resilient. What was the inspiration for you? I know it's quite odd because I stand to be corrected. You are not a pastor's kid.
No. No, I'm not.
Okay. So where did the inspiration come from?
So when I started writing this book, I think something profound really happened to me. And I didn't grow up in a born-again Christian kind of an environment. I grew up in the Lutheran church. And then in 1993, that's when we moved into the International Assemblies of God. But what really inspired me is that, at that time, for me, being a pastor's kid, even growing up in a Lutheran church, was like, I've always looked at pastor's kids, they look like presidents. It's like, you're a child of a president or whatsoever. But when I came to having a relationship with my then pastor, then I came to see other things that I was not aware of. But the interesting part is that after I got married to my husband, I think that's what actually pushed me a little bit further, because in my mind, seeing what happened and what was happening around my pastor's family, it kept on, ringing in my ear to say that, there are things that needs to be told that probably, I don't know if we kind of put a blind eye to it or what, but there are things that happens around pastors' kids that, as a church, as pastor's wife, we kind of turn a blind eye to it. But finally, when God started speaking to me, I thought that somebody will write this, but it kept on coming to me, and God literally said to me, it's your journey that I want you to walk with pastors' kids. And coming into meeting a lot of pastors' kids, starting to relate to them and, connecting with them, including you. It has been a journey for me whereby I felt that I needed to be that mouth talk that can speak for the pastor's kids, that ambassador for the pastor's kids. And really, I thank God indeed for allowing me to put this on paper. I know it's been a long journey. I've been trying to put this together for the past 2 years, and I hope that it will really encourage a lot of Christians.
And on behalf of all the pastors' kids, we just want to thank you for being so brave enough to be able to write this book and articulate our thoughts and our pains, our aches, and our anxieties. Really, really thank you so much to you and your husband.
I think there's a question here from God. So, is it important for you to be known as the great Pastor Mahlangu's son, or how do you intend being your own name away from your father's shadow?
For me, it's neither here nor there, really. It's not about names for me, and I know right now, it's about I give an example. Maybe it might be about Thabo Mokgotsi Ministries, it might be about Lebo Lebelo Ministries, or whatever. I'm just giving examples. For me it's not about that. It's really about making sure that I fulfill my mandate. My mandate, I know, and I know my purpose is so whether people view it as I'm in my father's shadow or not, as long as, and real talk, as long as I'm doing the work of God, as I'm preaching the gospel, as long as we're changing lives and winning them to Christ, as long as we're helping people to live meaningful lives, that for me is important. Whether you know me as, Wana Muruti Makango or whatever, it's neither here nor there for me. It's like, really, it's not a biggie.
Yeah, and I think, Caesar, obviously, when I wrote this book, it's some of those questions that one tend to ask themselves, to say that when somebody looks at you as a pastor's child, whether having walked the journey and decided to become a pastor or not, how do people actually perceive you? How do they look at you? Do they look at you as Pastor Mahlangu's son, or do they look at you as Vusi Sizwe Mahlangu? Where do they place you? And I think those are some of the topics that we kind of like speak about in the book. And I would want, for people to buy the book and read it. And, I know when people look at the book, they think, what, Called to be a Pastor's Kids is for pastors' kids. And really, for me, it's for the entire church to read and understand and be able to put themselves in a place somewhere around stories of the pastor's kids. There's another question from Agreement Masedi. He says, what was a common misconception people had or still have regarding you as a pastor's kid?
Sure. Common misconception. Gee. That's hard. But I think it's that I've never, maybe I'm just like a good kid. I've always been a good kid. I was young once and I was naughty once, like everybody, but maybe I decided more earlier on to be more purposeful about life, So, they just think, hey, Caesar is this unapproachable person. I'm unapproachable, that I'm too serious and whatnot, I think that for me, the seriousness and the whatnot comes as sometimes you learn over time to create boundaries for your own safety. Because of the stones that sometimes get thrown and whatnot, safety of your family, safety of yourself, safety of your, whatever you're trying to do. So I think those are probably some of those two misconceptions that I think people have. I am very friendly. I don't bite.
Yeah, but where do you see yourself in the coming 2 years, Sizwe? Because being passionate as you are, and driving that purpose that you are driving, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Well, one of the projects that I'm really keen about was inspired by your book. It looks like I'm selling you a lot today, but it was inspired by this. I still need to have a conversation about you to do like an offshoot project of this.
Yeah.
I was approached by Pastor Muiti from Tembisa, and he's part of an organization called TTF. It's a pastors fraternal, and he was saying, like, listen, I need you to come and begin to have a platform for pastors' kids, go Tembisa. I know he's got 2 of his kids who are pastors' kids, obviously. But so I want to really follow that up, like, quite with great intent, because whether we like it or not, whether the larger congregation likes it or not, pastors' kids are a niche sort of segment within the Christian community, and mostly misunderstood. And some of the guys, they just fall away or begin to even rebel against churches and their parents, which is quite painful. So that's one of the projects that I want to focus on. And God willing, also write a book. I hope you don't mind. Also write a book, literally from the shoes of a pastor's kid. And let's see how it goes. And the last would probably be, I had begun traveling into Zimbabwe, doing a lot of mission trip. And I want to continue with that strongly. There's a lot of opportunities to open up ministries is there as well. So I wanna do that. That's what I wanna be doing in the maybe next 5 years or so.
Yeah. No, I'm actually happy to support you in the book that you'll be writing. I think for me, it's actually a passion to be able to, to support the pastor's kids, and I'll be there for all of you. You are my heroes. There's another question from
Thank
Bloomer.
you.
He says, good evening. How do you stay humble under the ministry of your father while trying to spread your wings and soar in your calling?
It goes back to that other question that I answered. I purposely intent and focus said that I'm gonna give best to my father's ministry while I'm still with him. I'm not gonna leave any idea unturned. I'm not gonna leave anything unturned. Like, I'm literally going flat out. I believe in one simple principle, is that I need to be able to be the type of follower I want to lead in future. So that's what I'm living on,
Yeah.
So that keeps me humble. It keeps me grounded. I'm not trying to compete with him for the pulpit. I'm not trying to be splitting the church. He is still the head. I support. If he gives me leeway to, and my father's quite cool. He gives me leeway to, if you've got an idea, come with it. And so there's a lot of things that we do together with his permission. So it's all good. I'm happy. I'm really blessed.
Great. There's another question that came
Yes,
in.
Mama. So can I ask a question?
Sure. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. All right. So for you as a mother of those two beautiful kids, what are your fears for them? What are your aspirations and hope for them as pastors' kids? Given your experience in writing this book, you have noted, I know there's a chapter where most of the pastors' kids begin to articulate some of the experiences, and there's also chapters where you're talking as a pastor's wife, and where you also showcase. I hope I'm not giving too much away of the book, where you also showcase the role that your husband has played in being a supportive husband and being a dad to the kids. So I want to ask, what are your fears? What are your hopes? What are your aspirations in the context of what you've seen and written in the book for your kids, your own kids?
So personally, Caesar, when I wrote this book, I think it emanates also from the fears that I kind of like had when my husband started saying that he wanted to go into ministry. Seeing where I come from and the church, the kind of church environment that I came from, and I had so many questions in my mind. Because when I got married to him, I never thought that he would want to go into ministry whereby we are leading a church. But I thought that we will
Really?
continue. Yeah, I thought that we will continue being like assistant pastors where we were serving. But one morning I woke up and this guy says God wants me to start work, and things started working in my mind. But I think the biggest fear that I started having is the fact that will he have time for our children? Will our children grow to hate ministry? Because I've seen a lot of kids, a lot of pastors' kids, moving away from the Lord because of the challenges and the pressures that they find themselves in. And for me, while they are young, but I'm always, every day I pray to God that as much as they love the Lord now, we can be able to maintain them and keep them within the grace and within the ministry. And that's the prayer of my heart, and that's the biggest fear that I have, to say that if we can be able to assist them to stay in the ministry, to stay in the love of God, I think that is the biggest fear that I have.
Okay. Mama, do you mind if we give 2 of your books away? I've got 2 questions.
I'm happy. I'm happy for you to do that.
All right. So if you're watching at home, we do have 2 of these wonderful books to give away. But I've got 2 questions for you. You're not just gonna get them free. Okay, you're not gonna get them free. The first question I have is about a pastor's kid. Martin Luther King. Who was Martin Luther King named after? His daddy was a pastor. He's a great pastor's kid. I look up to him. I draw most of my inspiration from Martin Luther King. Who was Martin Luther King named after? That's a simple question. So that will get someone a book. Yeah, maybe let's do that one question for now. Should we do one and then maybe do another one when someone is one? Is that fine?
Yeah. So we've got about 5 minutes. We need to be wrapping up. But there's somebody that posted a question. He says, "Does your experience as a PK currently sorry, does your experience as a PK impact your current parenting style?" So being a pastor's
it
child
does.
and being a pastor, how does that, shape the way you are parenting your children?
It does, eh? Funny enough, yesterday I was just having a conversation with my son. I was supposed to do a recording, and he says to me, "I don't want you to go and preach because firstly, your preachings are too long and they are boring. And I just want you with you. Why don't you want to play with me?" So I'm like, okay, dude, no, we'll play. So yeah, he's brutally honest. So yes, my experiences as a PK, they do shape how I interact with my son. I give him leverage, if he doesn't want to go sit in children's church, I can't be embarrassed and say, "But you are the pastor's son, and if as your grandfather is the pastor, why don't you go to church?" I just let him be. If he wants to sit with me and cuddle or whatever, it's okay. So I give him room to be what he wants to be. And by the grace of God, I'm seeing him, and I believe that he's going to grow up into being a wonderful man of God. He's into praise and worship. He's into church. He's into.
Are you
all I need to do is just nurture his giftings.
Are you raising another pastor there?
Sorry?
Are you raising another pastor? They say a pastor doesn't born a pastor.
I think, you know what, Mama, honestly, hey, without, I haven't put any due pressure on him and whatnot, but there's things that I'm beginning to see in him that are saying to me, this guy is going to go somewhere. So he's really into music. So I said, okay, cool. You're going to be a music director in my church. So keep on going. Keep on going. So, yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, I think we've got a winner.
Yep, we do. We do. Hey, this is nepotism here. Hey, yeah. All right. Dotty Innovations, your answer. So, Tumelo Masedi's answer is incorrect. It's parallel to the truth. It's not Martin Luther King Sr., but it's actually named after Martin Luther, the great reformist. So yeah, it's the answer is Martin Luther, and the book was won by a PK. Goodness. Okay.
Wow.
We didn't plan it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we throw in one more question?
Yeah, and then we're gonna be ready.
We have.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. My second question. My second question is, true or false? Was Reverend Kenneth Mishre President Cyril Ramaphosa's president at SRC level? True or false? Was Kenneth Mishre President Ramaphosa's president at SRC level while they were still back in the days Koskolong? True or false? Mama, it looks like you don't know as well.
I know. So Let's see if we have any other questions. You can throw in your questions. We're gonna wrap up now. We're waiting for someone to win the second book. Come, guys, you can win the book. So, Sizwe, in closing,
Yes.
how do you encourage, young people, as well as, obviously pastors' kids that are finding it difficult to move beyond their limitations, to be able to go to that point of boundary breaking attitude? How do you encourage them and help them, to be able to move, away from the negativity that, we find ourselves in, and to be able to, move above the circumstances?
Well, I think first thing, you have to be able to articulate what your boundary is, number one. And that's the main thing. And secondly, you have to have it within yourself to have purpose. One of the greatest things that ever happened to me, well, number one was salvation, but one of the greatest things was discovering my purpose. I cannot begin to overstress the importance of finding out what your purpose is, or discovering your purpose, and that gives that's like a spear in one's hand when you know what your purpose is in life. Without being able to know what your purpose is, without being able to articulate what your boundaries are, I don't think that you can go anywhere. It's just like gonna be, you're like throwing stones, and wherever they settle, that's where you're gonna be. But so I'm in corporate, I'm pushing boundaries there. I'm pushing as hard as I can to make sure that I get to the top, so that my Christian community can be proud, my Black people can be proud, my PKs can be proud, but most of all, to really reflect the glory of God, to say that God has not wasted anything in me, but I've really definitely given the best. So boundaries are there to be broken, but God, you must determine those boundaries first, because some people are just breaking a lot of other boundaries that are not meant to be broken. But yeah.
Okay, we've got two answers. That's the first one. Okay, we've got the second one. There's a second one.
No.
There's a second one.
So the first answer, I was just shaking my head because I recognized the other person who answered correctly. The first answer was right. Yeah. She's a PK as well. Hey, this is bad.
This is bad.
Yeah. So the answer is right. Nomsa's answer is right.
Okay, so Nomsa is our next winner, I guess.
Yes, Nomsa is our next winner.
You can contact us to get your books, or you can even speak to Sizwe. We will organize your books to be delivered. Thank you. We've got a last comment, and then we're going to be closing the session.
Wow.
Yeah, you want to read it, Sizwe?
Wow.
Go ahead.
Wow, that's powerful. That's really powerful. It says, Mawini, thank you for the book and the initiative. The Levitical heritage needs to be protected for the sake of the whole society. Wow, come on, man. When there's no service to the people for kingdom purposes, society begins to lose their way and die.
True. Very powerful.
Deep.
There's a next one.
Add anything.
There's a next one, Sizwe. You can read it.
Oh, okay. Thank you for the book. I've read my brother's copy. I've ordered my own copy, and now I've won a copy to sponsor. I support you all the way. Thank you, Dottie Innovations.
Thank you, Dottie, and thank you. And as I said, this book is mainly for my pastors' kids. I believe that pastors' kids have got, they're gifted people, and really, for us to be able to advocate and make sure that they get the support from us as a church. It's very, very important. And I want to encourage every church member, every pastor's wife, to get yourself a copy, and so that we can be able to make sure that we protect the house of the Levites. Thank you very much. I think we've come to the end of the session, and I think I've had a wonderful time. It was very nice, Caesar, to have you in at Drizzles of Joy. I believe we're going to have other great conversations. And hey, thank you to our viewers for all your contributions to the conversations. We really, really appreciate you and love you so much. And to all my pastors' kids, big up to you. Have a lovely evening and a blessed one. May the good Lord bless you. Good night.
When you're moving forward, you cannot look back. Everything you see is an illusion. Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Help when you can. Give when you can. Smile when you can. Cry when you can. Darkness is temporary. A bad mood can't win the light.
Pisa na wewe wazangie lela na wazana mawai kasiko pesa mokongote munana ngaye